and the other team won't. You talk about that tournament, I believe Origen won. So they're coming into this match with a big morale boost, if they even needed it.
Yeah, if they needed it. And taking a look at the picks and all the bans so far, we've seen Nidalee jungle, I believe, that was banned out yesterday as well. A lot of junglers feel it's very strong right now. Cassiopeia Zed aimed towards that mid laner of Senkux. He's, been great on both of those champions, so we've seen a lot of priority towards that mid lane.
Yeah, that's a very interesting, because we literally just mentioned that, and they put all their remaining bans against Senkux, whereas on the other side, maybe only one of them, which is again a flex pick, was aimed at Xpeke. So it's almost like Team Dignitas EU here are more confident than Origen. But even so, they have the top lane. The top lane of SOAS did pick up Rek'Sai, which is for the jungle.
Yes, Rek'Sai going into that jungle in a very fast lock in here of the Corki and the Annie. Now, we saw Corki Annie yesterday out of the Team Dignitas lineup, and you saw the roam very early, helped them get the lead as they left Corki over in the bottom lane on his own. So maybe we'll see some success from that. We do, however, know that Niels and Miffy have been pretty much unstoppable in this bottom lane. Niels, he is yet to die on broadcast. He died in the Tuesday game of, I believe it was week 1, maybe, and he died like once. But on our broadcast, he is yet to die.
Yeah, that's funny, because typically you'd think, like, if you are on broadcast, you panic more because there's lots of people watching you, but apparently it's the reverse for Niels, so we'll see how that one works out for today's stress. But yeah, Origen are still remaining. Still have time remaining before they lock in some champions.
They've still got some time. Interesting you'd say about being live, actually. Amazing tweeted out yesterday that maybe we just don't play so well when we don't have a live viewership. Yeah. No crowd, no stream on. Yeah. He actually tweeted that yesterday. Interesting to see that maybe Origen play better under the spotlight.
That's very cool. And it will help them as well if they even get to the finals, which they will have an audience in front of them. But the Origen do lock in that Leona for the bot lane and the LeBlanc for the mid lane. So they ban out Cassiopeia and Zed, and then they go for the LeBlanc.
So Leona has been a very common pick into the Annie picks. Essentially, as soon as the Annie composition is, and we will get back up on your screen in just a sec, as soon as the Annie is removed from the composition, a lot of the engage potential typically has been removed. So if you can pick a champion like Leona, who, as long as you survive through the laning phase, you can put a lot of pressure onto the Annie lane because you're no sustain. You typically have more consistent engage. Then you just blow Annie up with a solar flare as the game kind of expands across the map. You remove that engage tool completely.
Yeah, it's like super helpful. But yeah, like the other thing is, I'm wondering if they'll continue to start picking engage on that team, because if the Annie dies, then if you're still looking for engage, you're looking for that mid game pressure. Obviously, they have the Corki locked in. So if they lock in maybe a Jarvan for jungle, this is now 5.4.
Yes.
So that means like we do have the Jarvan changes coming in. Means he has the armor removed from his flag, but added to his base armor. So it's less. So it means he has a weaker clear, but he's not like completely out of it. We just know that he's dropped down the tier list of junglers.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion on that. And honestly, I'm waiting to see more games on 5.4 before teams kind of realize exactly where he fits. Everybody knows he's dropped. It just is how far is the question. And that is something that we're going to have to answer as when we do get back into picks and bans as we're going to go along. Because that Rek'Sai is almost certainly the top tier of junglers. And Nidalee is up there as well. Everybody thought perhaps after the fixes that went through in 5.3 that Nidalee had fallen off. Still is able to skirmish very well against champions like Rek'Sai, who have a lot of early game damage. We've seen Nidalee banned away. What are they going to pick instead?
Yeah, well, we are going to be jumping back into Champions Select here, but we are now 9 picks in, so we're going to have to catch up a little. But we do have the responsive Irelia and Twejani coming in from Team Dignitas EU, and then Miffy comes in and responds with Malphite for the top lane.
There is so much that has gone on.
Let's take it piece by piece, Stress.
Let's take it piece by piece. So we saw the LeBlanc. So on the other side, Irelia and Sejuani have been locked in. Irelia is going to be very strong up in that top lane role. This was a blind top lane pick here, so they're very confident in Wondware's Irelia in this situation. So that we'll have to see as we get further into the game. The Sejuani is something I want to pick up on, and it's something that I know LCS teams have discussed as well. Gambit have played Sejuani. You can play Sejuani into Rek'Sai. Sejuani is not very good in the beginning of the game, so if Broken Shard can avoid Amazing for a long period of time, he'll be fine. However, when you get to team fight, Sejuani obviously has her benefits. Graves, Malphite. Graves, we're seeing a whole bunch. Leona, it's a lot of burst. Malphite, on the other hand, against Irelia is fine. It's a farm lane. You also have a lot of engage.
Yeah, Containment, I think, is the name of the game coming into that top lane. And then the very last pick was Team Dignitas EU picking up their Ahri. So they eventually do lock that in, and they put the Ahri into the LeBlanc matchup up against Xpeke.
Yeah, but you know what both of these comps scream? Aggression and engage. All of these champions nearly have ways of engaging or following up from an engage. You look at a Malphite ultimate, a Rek'Sai, which is kind of like, I guess that's kind of like a poorer version of a Malphite ultimate. You have to tunnel in, but that's a lot of knockups here that are coming out from the Origen lineup. They got Leona engage. Both teams want to fight. It's going to rely heavily on who can come out of the laning phase ahead here.
Yeah, and in the game that we saw on Tuesday, we saw Team Dignitas fall massively behind early, and Origen just literally rolling over them from minute 1. So now that both of the teams kind of like have their arsenal ready to try and go head-to-head, it'll be interesting how this one works out, Stress. But as we make our way into game, Spirit Rush over to Twitter and use the hashtag OGWin or DEUWin to file your vote for who you think will take home the victory. And we'll be checking in on your results during the game.
Regardless of who anybody thinks is going to win this, I know that this is going to be a pretty explosive game once it opens up. With champions
it's
like
physically possible not for it to be.
If this turns into a 50-minute game with champions like that, I'm going to be incredibly surprised. However, we are on to the Rift here.
Yeah, all the champions coming down onto the spawn pad. I assume they fly it down onto it because they kind of just come
I
from the
figured
sky.
it was like Power Rangers, where they've got like a thing and they all have a color that drops them down. When, when they teleport.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just showing my 90s, 90s pop culture.
We'll see if Origen can take that power to Team Dignitas once again, maybe picking up their second win against them. That would put them 6-0, which would be pretty good. I don't think it would even be possible for them not to make the playoffs after that result.
I think you might be right. We'll have to double check that one. But that
remember, don't do maths on the European Challenger Series.
I'm going to go with I think so. And that tends to do me well a lot of the times. However, there was a lot that happened. And yeah, dance-off is happening. But a lot happened here in Picks and Bans that I still think we've got a couple of seconds to catch up on. So the Ahri LeBlanc matchup, we saw Ahri picked into that as the last pick here for Team Dignitas. And again, it suits both of these mid laners right down to a T. They both like to play aggressive. Senkux, I would say, probably likes to play a little bit more aggressive than Peke. Peke does control himself for when he finds the right engage. Senkux kind of sometimes blindly goes in a little bit. So that is going to be where a lot of this early game focus is going to be in this game, because top lane, as you already said, is going to be containment.
Yeah, and in the bot lane, Voil getting the sick value, putting down the auto attacks, got 5 gold. Miffy.
Yep, gets it.
Yeah, with the attack, Shield of Daybreak attack. It's not an auto attack reset, but it's like Tiamat. Just goes in between the autos.
That is the most infuriating thing when you're playing against a Leona. Is you're like, I really hope she's not in this bush and ready to get this ward, because that, man.
It's got to be as soon as the ward is placed down, you have to go for the initial auto attack, and yeah, sad times. It's not a good start.
I'm interested to see where the jungle pathing is going to be, especially for this Sejuani. Sejuani is not a champion we see too much. Speaking of bottom lane stuns, there's one onto Annie. But Sejuani is not a champion we see all that much. Gambit Gaming have been playing Sejuani. They did so at IEM Cologne and have brought it to the LCS as well. But she's not a champion that we really see a lot. And, I was talking about a little bit in the pre-game that Amazing, if he can find Broken Shard, is going to be able to put down a lot of damage onto this Sejuani in the jungle.
And that's with the recent jungle changes as well. So obviously all the tier lists have kind of shifted a bit, and we'll see if Sejuani really has kind of gone up the rankings and whether Broken Shard can make that happen. He did again go aggressive in the early game we saw before, so we'll see if he keeps up the aggression or he just plays a more controlled style.
Oh, bottom lane, there is another little bit of a trade here. This time, Team Dignitas are the ones that have reached level 2 first, so Niels and Mithy have to respect this big spike in damage that level 2 has brought the Team Dignitas lineup. But something I want to, focus on is the fact that Sejuani has no real sustain out of the jungle and has already used all of her pots. Rek'Sai has as well, but remember, once you burrow, you'll get health back from her passive. So Amazing is going to be able to sustain through the jungle a lot better than Broken Shard, and Amazing might even be able to gank bottom lane here. There is a ward down in the bottom, so they will know, but here's the engage.
Yeah, Miffy's already engaged on top of Voidal, and they may not even need him. Last auto attack comes through for the 2v2 First Blood, and Amazing just walks into the lane, looks scary, and Corki just Valkyries out of the way. For
as much as you have to respect the first level 2 in lane, you have to respect a Leona running Ignite that can engage on you just like that. And you can see Peke's going to engage himself.
Yeah, he gets the Ethereal Chains down onto Senkux and will land a couple more autos. A nice Orb of Deception in response will get him some HP back. There's a Xenoblade connecting onto Kirby, and Niels will follow with the damage as well. How much does he have? Forces another Valkyrie out of him. Luckily, he doesn't burn either of his summoners, that being from Corki, so that just means he has to take a trip back to town. Yeah,
it makes it very difficult as he heads back to base now, because especially in this Graves-Corki matchup, Corki should become more prominent in the match earlier on. Trinity Force is your big power spike, as opposed to Graves' 2-item spike. In this situation, Graves should be far enough ahead now to pick up maybe a pickaxe in this situation. Yes, he should, plus pots. Mid lane, there's another amount of damage here onto Peke.
Yeah, lots of trading between these two mid laners, and I would typically say this is like the focal point of the match, but then we also spoke about Origen. Like, even if Peke fails in the mid lane, you've got Sellers, you've got Amazing, you've got Niels, you've got the bot lane with Miffy. Like, it's just one contingency plan that they have. I'm also looking at the items here, and Amazing has picked up the skirmishes, which we actually have been seeing in recent days as well, Stress.
Yeah, we have. Typically, when you go with these jungle changes that happened in 5.4, remember now to exchange an item, it now costs extra gold, so you want to pick an item and stick on it. And this tells me that Amazing wants to get aggressive into the enemy jungle, find Broken Shard, and trade against him really heavily. And you know, I think we're going to see that as this game goes on. Amazing already showing us him invading.
Yeah, call the Liam Neeson. He just wants to find him and kill him. But in the mid lane, Xpeke is still trying to kill Senkux, not to too much avail. Miffy in the bot lane, again clearing out those wards. Voidal is not having a good time in the ward war so far. And that also means Amazing has found himself down there in the bush, and that Tremor Sense you can see pinging off. He's looking for his prey. And they are now moving forwards onto Kirby. Amazing already did burrow into Voidal, so that'll be enough to push him back for now. And Kirby moves right back to where he was, and Amazing's going to stick around. Yeah,
Broken Shot, however, does have a level advantage and was looking to gank mid lane. This time he'll just take the ward away. So if Broken Shot can get himself to level 6 faster than Amazing can, he can make his impact felt pretty early on. With the ultimate that's going to come from Sejuani, it's going to be a very important tool for this Team Dignitas lineup as they go throughout this game. It'll allow them to set up picks and allow them to get Irelia perhaps into the backlines.
So Broken Shard was sitting there, and it looked like he was waiting for the level 6 from Senkux, because he was literally a couple minions away, but then the wave pushed, and it was just kind of mistimed. So it was a nice force in theory, but didn't quite pan out. Miffy with the Xenoblade. He'll just flash onto Voidal, though, with his with Shield of Daybreak, right with the amazing knockup. He just goes down. Kirby was trying all that he could do to put down the damage onto Niels, but it's not even close to being enough. 2 and 0, both those kills right onto Voidal.
Great start out from Origen, very similar to yesterday. Again, they just catch out Voidal, who's just over-aggressive in this situation. And Team Dignitas have already given a kill and assist over to Niels. We've spoken about how influential he can be. He's 47 CS to 29 up already in this Graves-Corki matchup, and this is looking good. They go again.
Miffy underneath the turret is going deep, and also forces the flash from Kirby. He didn't even want to try and sit under the turret and see if he could trade it out. That is one aggressive lane, and is it working out?
That is the question, and it doesn't really seem to be working out for Team Dignitas, however you look at it up in that top lane. Over on the bottom lane, I was going to say over in the top lane, we haven't really seen anything out of these top laners because this is a farm matchup and it is going to stay this way for another couple of minutes. Now that Soaz is level 6 though, with that teleport and unstoppable force, he can get himself in, but Voidal, oh my goodness, he's caught out again.
Hashtag that, because Xpeke comes in, sweeps him. Oh, Broken Shot also happens to be in the area. Oh, there is a dent with bristles facing it in that wall.
Oh dear, that's painful for to happen. I mean, he wasn't quite level 6 yet either, and he just gets caught out. I believe he's actually... Ooh. Oh no, Peke gets it. Broken Shard was actually about 2 minions away from level 6, which meant he would have been able to get a quicker flash over because you just ult them right next to you. And walkout. But Amazing is having a much better time in the jungle. He will now start the dragon off, and we already know Rek'Sai is pretty good at doing dragons, so with just a little bit of help here from Mithy, this one is very easily going to go down in favor of Origen.
Yeah, that is going down real fast. Mithy just supplying the sunlight buff as well, get the extra damage down. And the first dragon going over to Origen in this game, 4-0. Feels like I've seen this one before, and I would be right, because I saw it yesterday.
Wow, that would... some premonitions there, but this is game 2. Of course, game 1 was played yesterday off broadcast, but Broken Shard trying to get his first gank of the game down. Wasn't quite able to get into position, and you know what, this mid lane, even though it looks fairly even, that the CS is pretty standard between the two, LeBlanc has been able to get out there on the map. Peke has been able to be involved in half of the kills already in this game, and that's something that Senkux really has to try and deal with here. He's now not got his ultimate, so he needs to try and get into other lanes somehow.
And in the bot lane, now it's 2 versus 1 because Mithy's actually roaming towards the mid lane, trying to get something done on Senkux maybe if Feral Chains does not land. And here is that Mithy. He has Solar Flare. He does have the Ignite as well, but the flash is burnt from Senkux. That is Amazing ulting through. Where are you going?
Crosstown Express out of Amazing here. Blue buff to blue buff. It's a pretty cheap fare for that one.
It is. Only the cost of an ultimate. And Broken Shard off to the upper left corner. Mithy is still around the jungle if he wants to engage on him. Still has the Solar Flare, remember. And they're now pushing the middle lane. A Prey Seeker just for some added poke. And it just feels like everyone's closing in around the mid lane. This is the only lane, the only bastion of hope that's kind of still holding strong. Say that, but I'm talking about top lane as well, where we haven't really paid much attention because it's Irelia Malphite.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is a lane that we haven't seen for too long. It's been a couple of months since we've been having a lot of Irelia Malphite, but certainly it isn't exactly the most explosive of top lanes. A lot of the times you'll see Malphite just throw out his ultimate, just kind of for harass, and then Irelia will do the same, and it just bounces back and forth. But this is going to be a little bit more than harass.
Oh, Kobe. He gets hit up by the Soul Flare as well. All of that burst damage from Niels and Mithy, and he goes down again. 0-4 in the bottom lane alone. This is starting to collapse from the bottom up.
It really is. This is Broken Shard is making his way up to the top lane, but ultimate can be used as an escape tool as well. Soaz gets himself out. Broken Shard did hold on to his though.
Unstoppable peace out from Soaz in the top lane. And Broken Shard got what he wanted. Doesn't have his flash yet, but does have his ultimate still if he wants to make something happen, and burns another flash in the bottom lane, courtesy of Mithy, taking that away from Voidal. And yeah, he's just screaming for help from anyone at this point.
Yeah, indeed. He really is. And this bot lane is going to fall soon as well. Something I want to pick up on a little bit is, although Xpeke has been involved in a couple of kills, he hasn't really been out farming Senkux, just because Senkux has been able to just sit there and keep himself up in CS. He built Negatron Cloak first as well, and great warding out of the Team Dignitas lineup. But, you know, interestingly enough, Xpeke typically has been ahead in CS, about 5 to 6, about a wave full at 10 minutes on his lane opponents. This time he hasn't been able to force Senkux out, but what he has done is get himself involved in other little skirmishes around the enemy jungle. Could have been another skirmish here, but Broken Shard just charges himself out over the wall.
Arctic assaults away from the fight. And the first item has been picked up by Peke as well, and Amazing just flashes over right here. Senkux comes in with the ultimate. There's the Arctic Assault, followed by the ultimate as well, but he's got right into the middle of the fight. Voidal now was just trying to assist his jungler, but he may also be falling prey to Amazing with the Queen's Wrath and the follow-up with the Prey Seeker. Oh, and Xpeke over the wall flattens Annie, the Dark Child. 0-4 now. 7-0 total for Origen. They are so far ahead of Team Dignitas EU.
And Wonderware teleports into that fight and actually doesn't have an effect on it. He can't find the position. Yes, Soaz used his teleport as well, but the fight was pretty much over at that stage, so both top laners tried to get involved and then can't really do anything. So no teleport advantage for either team here, but Origen just continuing to get their own advantages in this game, fight after fight. Look at Voidal, an LCS player, former LCS, only a few weeks removed, 0-4 in a game here in the EUCS.
And we do have a 12-minute lane swap where Mithy is just roaming around the map doing whatever he wants to do. Wonderware, that was a little dangerous considering how strong he knows that bot lane is, and Mithy is trying to get this engage on. He has the Equilibrium strike down just to zone him away a little bit, but Wonderware, he cannot defend this turret.
Yeah, and this is just a power play out of Origen. They'd already sent Soaz bottom lane before that little fight to shove it out, make sure it was pushing in towards the turret. As soon as they see that Annie is out on the map and Corki is holding bot lane, they put their duo top lane. They know Wonderware cannot fight 2v1 against a Leona and a Graves. Easy tower for Origen.
Yeah, amazing here, just trying to establish those tunnels all over the opposing jungles, all around this dragon area as well, which is spawning in 1 minute. And they may be able to make that the second dragon of the game. You can see in the terms of items, they are so far ahead. They've already hit those item spikes. There's a Sunfire, there's an Infinity Edge, the Morellonomicon, and you compare that to the opposing team of Dignitas, who basically just have components of their items.
Yeah, not even the Abyssal Scepter finished yet, because Senkux hasn't found the time to go back and buy it. And you know what? We got the hashtag vote in earlier, see what the fans were saying, but Peke...
Oh, Senkuk's trying to delete him over here, but Niels comes in from the bot side. There's a Solar Flare again onto Voidal. He is extremely unlucky, just in the wrong place at the wrong time every single time. And Origen move around, so they do manage to save Private X Peke.
They do save him indeed. And you know what, that vote, I don't want to sound too... well, Mithy's caught out, so I'll save this.
Yeah, he just get hit by the Arctic Assault, and there's the ultimate from Broken Shard as well. In comes Wonderware from the top lane. He came right through that middle lane. Amazing as well. Just get the knockup with the Umburo. I think that's the end of the chase for now. Tip has wanted some more, but the team doesn't want any of it.
So what I was gonna say was that Origen have been getting like 95% every time we do a Twitter vote. So I think a 74% split actually bodes quite well.
Whoa, Wonderware as well. He just saw the opportunity and dove right on top of Leona. And that might be the reason why, Stress, that people have a little more faith in Team Dignitas, because those solo laners, we talked about the solo lane talent before, and they have been turning up. And this is a bold play from them, though. They get the pick and they go right onto Dragon. It's decisive, but Soaz does have his ultimate. Xpeke has his as well. They have a ton of burst to offer. Voidal, they will jump on him. He goes down. Broken Shard looks to be the next one. And Senkux and Wonderware, what can they do in this fight? Xpeke will be dropping, so they get a 2-for-1. Wonderware as well is now on the back foot as he jumps in, tries to get the last tick of damage. He comes in for the double kill, that being from Soaz. Double kill on the flip side from Senkux. Niels has arrived into the fight, and that signals the rest of Team Dignitas getting away from this fight. Niels will now follow up as well. Here comes the charm, drags him underneath that turret. There comes the collateral damage right to Senkux. And that will basically get the delayed ace. And in a 4 versus 5, Origen was still coming out ahead.
Yeah, and all the way back at the beginning, as Team Dignitas started the Dragon, they didn't commit to it fully. There was kind of this split decision-making of, do we want to fight? Do we want to take the Dragon? A couple of people were still dealing damage to the Dragon. Too high for Broken Shard to smite, but so low that it was still a tasty objective during that fight. And, you know, Amazing comes in, Soaz comes in. They both get the knockups here, and here we go. Let's draw it all the way back. You can see 1400 is still far too healthy for Broken Shard to do anything. Peke, followed up by his former Fnatic brother of Soaz, just completely shreds this team apart. And yes, Peke dies during this fight, but it's a small price to pay for what would eventually turn into be, you know, a couple more kills for Niels and a Dragon as well.
Yeah, and then once Niels arrived, it was just cleanup time. That was a fantastic collateral damage as well onto the back of Senkux as he was just trying to make his escape.
Yeah, Senkux should have known that the ult was coming.
Boom.
A little bit there. Boom indeed.
No, Team Dignitas, we just see Senkux just the tail end of his ultimate there. He's trying to maybe get a pick onto Niels in the mid lane, but they are now trying to siege this up. 3 turrets to 0, those 2 dragons now over to Origen as well. There is what would usually be the farm alarm, but this is a power play indeed. He comes in from the side. Soaz was also teleported into this one. He's looking for the perfect ultimate to happen. Broken Shard, he's dead before they even need to do anything. Miffy drops low, but they haven't got the damage onto the necessary members. Soaz, Kobe not even able to land his ultimates onto anyone. Voidal again gets popped. You're now 0 and 6. A 2 and 0. Team Dignitas just caught off guard, blindsided by Origen.
And the way Origen played that, it looked like they were all there. Peke wasn't even there for the beginning of that fight. That was a 4 versus 5!
And there's the Soaz ultimate. Goes right underneath the turret. Wonderware trying to do what he can. He will get the pick onto Soaz, but not before the collateral damage comes across from Niels. He'll sweep up a couple more members. And Kobe trying to get on to Amazing as he backs off, but he just doesn't have the damage. 16 to 5. This has been a bloodbath and not the right one for Team Dignitas EU.
Well, that unstoppable force caught me by surprise, and I had just thought, man, Soaz held on to it for the entire fight. So I don't know how that felt if you're on the Team Team Dignitas lineup as well, because Soaz showing great patience in that fight. There was a spot in the fight before that he could have ulted 3 people and actually chose not to. So this time holds it, gets it under the tower, dies for it, and they actually don't get the tower. So they get a few kills, and they push back Team Dignitas, but also they now have bought themselves a little bit of time to head back to the shop and buy, because I have a feeling they had a lot of gold stacked on each player.
Oh yeah, Cobby just picked up his Triforce as well, and we do need to wait for everyone to go back to base, but an easily large rod picked up by XPeke. There's so much damage now, and the top lane as well of Soaz, he's just so tanky. Yeah,
he is, but this is one of the points that Team Dignitas have to fight at. They've reached a fair few item spikes here. You can see the Trinity Force on Irelia and on Corki. So in theory, coming into this game, this would be their time to fight. Abyssal Scepter with the level 2 boots as well onto Senkux should signal that this is their time. However, they are quite far behind right now. 8,000 gold nearly is the lead, and you can see XPeke, wow, just one little burst of damage onto Broken Shard, not even a full rotation, forces him back to base.
Yeah, he was around 60-70%, so it wasn't a huge amount of damage, but it's enough to deter who's supposed to be the tankiest member on the team. You can even see he went for Sightstone over more tanky items after the Juggernaut enchant, so he's going to be a little more squishy than he may have wanted, but he will, of course, still have that ultimate, the Glacial 2. I think that's wrong. But
Prison.
Glacial Prison, yeah.
So close.
Yet so far.
It's the Freljord champions, man.
I know, dude. They're all very, very similar.
They just like to entrap people in ice. That's the problem. It's a little bit cold. But, you know, one thing that Team Dignitas have been doing very well I say very well, last couple of minutes has been going very well for them. Wonderware just got himself a tower down in the bottom lane. And that's one thing that they're going to have to utilize with this Irelia, is they're going to have to buy Wonderware some time, to the point where nobody can fight Irelia in a solo lane. That really is what they have to do, and then they can use the rest of their comp to either engage in a favorable advantage or favorable trade, or back away. And Team Dignitas are going to have to try and get Wonderware rolling again and again.
Yeah, but the spanner in that plan, or should I say the rock in this case, is Malphite, because he's just so damn tanky. He's playing containment, and he's just ahead of the curve. So Wonderware can't really do too much against him. Senkux takes some more poke from XPeke. Just dipping and diving, trying to get that damage down. Again, comes in with the Distort. No one was there this time around, but 1 minute until that Dragon, 1 minute 20. Origen take the initiative and push down the bottom lane.
Wonderware is able to clear this out, though, for now, but Team Dignitas, they don't have Senkux with them yet, so they can't afford to engage, and they don't have full vision, and ooh, Peke is just going to blow Voidal up. That really just completely reduces any chance that Dignitas have right now of sitting under this turret.
Yeah, and Soaz, there's always the threat of his unstoppable force as well, but Broken Shot comes with the engage, he whiffs, it goes wide, he only gets the slow onto Miffy, then they re-engage as everyone's stacked up, a Solar Flare onto 4, there comes the collateral damage. If I've ever seen a one combo, that was definitely it, as Peke comes in, gets the final blow onto Voidal as well with his Ignite, the flash over the wall from Senkux, tries to pick up the kill onto Soaz, it will be Cobby chiming in for the kill there, and that ends up being a 2 for 2, or will it? Because Cobby has been caught by XPeke with the Ethereal Chains, he'll be backing off into his base through that base gate, and that was still 2 for 2 overall, but Origen are in better shape to push this turret.
Oh, they are indeed, and they should get this as well. But all the way in the beginning of that fight is, ooh, crazy Wonderware going into this fight. 1 versus 3.
Yeah, he goes on to Peke, but he's out of mana. Niels, though, he doesn't need mana. He's got the autos, and the team was just not there. Cobby was just waiting on the front line.
I mean, he's trying to buy time for Broken Shard, who has no ult here. Senkux, who had no ult, no flash, no way of catching up on that fight. A 1v3? I mean, sure, you were ahead. You had 3-2-2 on your scoreline at that point, but you're not that strong. Everybody on the other side, Amazing actually goes in again.
Yeah, he's taking a page out of Wonderware's book, and I think he'll meet the same fate, but he's got so much shielding, and Peke was there from the side. Double Distort goes down, and Voidal also happens to be in the middle of the fight. He'll be disappearing from this lineup. Double kill for XPeke, make that 3 in total. Senkux gets nailed with the Solar Flare from Miffy. They'll just turn around, he has to. There's nowhere else he can run to, and Niels will pick up yet another kill.
And Wonderware just teleported to mid lane. I believe maybe even onto a minion, so he's not even going to get the reduced cooldown on that. He can't contest the dragon. The things that Team Dignitas Europe are doing right now screams of desperation in this game.
Yeah.
Broken Shard ults into a jungle that has no vision, misses the ult, only gets the slow on 1, then they engage into a choke against a Leona Rek'Sai Malphite. Like, that should have gone way worse for Team Dignitas. Then Wonderware tries to 1v3. we're going to get a replay, and we're going to see which one this is. This is amazing, getting a knock-up here. He gets a good knock-up onto 2. The rest of his team are around, but Amazing does drop very low from the beginning of this, and he knows how far ahead they are, that he can actually do this. And look at the damage that comes from XPeke. Not even a chance to finish the Valkyrie there. And Mythi actually picked up Broken Shard as well. Amazing got out of this fight. Watch the minimap soon if it does stay up for this teleport onto a minion. Senkux is already dead here. You have to just give this away. And then a teleport to the minion. Unless he wants that 1v3 and thinks round 2 is going to go any better than round 1. Not sure what the decision-making behind that was.
Yeah, that was just really impressive from Amazing. He just knew what his champion could do. Broken Shard comes to the engage. This time, that's the Glacial Tomb onto a couple members, but it's not really what they need. Amazing will just pick up Broken Shard as he's just too squishy in that front line. And Mythi and Amazing, they're just walking around them. The Sharks are really just circling Dignitas at this point.
I've got a way of remembering which is Tomb and which is Prison.
Yeah.
So Lissandra we see with the Tomb because it puts people in the grave. Okay. This time, Broken Shard's Glacial Prison hasn't really done much.
Ah, smart. But Wonderwear is again jumping to minions and almost again just jumping onto the back line. It feels like Wonderwear just expects to be ahead, and he's just not. Voidor comes out with the Flash Tibbers, which immediately gets QSS'd, and there's the return fire from XPeke onto Senkux. He knows who he wants to be targeting in these fights.
So, in this game, we have, I think it's 6 former LCS players. And, I mean, this has been a very scrappy game. Origen have been ahead since the very minute 1. And they look to be picking up Voidal again.
Oh, it looks like curtains, and that makes him 1-9-4 in this game. Amazing comes in again for the 2-man knockup. It will be XPeke just putting in his clone to try and go for this last team fight, but Senkux comes in. He does not manage to assassinate anyone. He still has a couple Spirit Rush stacks, but I don't think he wants to go head first into them unless he can get a kill onto Niels. Wonderwear wants him, but he was able to quick draw away. And now they just swing mid lane and pick up all these inner objectives. 7-1 in objectives, 26-7. This really is the end of the line for Team Dignitas, and it's just how long is it going to take?
Yeah, a couple of minutes more. At this point, you have to look at what this game has meant and you know, what this does to this Team Dignitas lineup. Yes, this is the toughest opposition that they're going to have here in EUCS with the league leaders. But this is a new lineup that I'm pretty sure that Team Dignitas would hope would be putting up a better fight than this. And honestly, as Amazing comes back into the jungle, I mean, Team Dignitas, they've only taken 2 turrets in this game. They haven't been able to get Wonderwear into the solo lane for the last 10 minutes, and honestly, that's what they need to do.
Well, you were right in Champions Select Stress. It was an explosive game, but mainly from Origen, who just utilizing their composition and just doing what Team Dignitas EU do, but just better. And that has really just been the story of the game. They've just won the laning phases and just kind of did everything better than what they could possibly do, because they were going to the team fights and they were just stronger.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we said that in Champion Select.
Yeah.
Whoever gets ahead in the laning phase is going to take this game. Like, that is pretty much how it is going to be, just because of the way these two comps are. When one gets ahead, it is going to be exceptionally difficult for the other to get back into the game. And, you know, Irelia is one of those the champions in this game that will scale very well. Yes, the rest of the champions have their own scaling and you know, can be brought into the late game and do well themselves, but they need a lot more assistance that comes out of the laning phase rather than just time. However, down on the bottom side of the map, you can see that a big part of Cobby is down clearing out waves, so Team Dignitas wanted the engage.
It's Voidal getting caught again, and there's a good ultimate coming in from Broken Shard, lands onto 3, but is it going to be enough? And it looks like the answer so far is no, because there's just an unbelievable amount of damage coming out from Niels as he enters the fight. Senkux, there's collateral damage, everyone just jumping on top of him, and Wonderwear, yes, he's strong, but he's nowhere near strong enough, as Suaz is keeping up the chase. Cobby was even back to base, just getting all his health back. And yeah, this is not looking good.
Man, we said it last week, you can't Fnatic Bush X Fnatic. That is not something that they are going to fall prey to very often enough. And Origen, again, looking convincing in this win over Team Dignitas.
And that was a fast one. 27 minutes on the clock before they managed to finish off this game up against Team Dignitas EU. That makes them 2-0 in this week and 6-0 overall.
I don't really think there are many words that can kind of describe just how strong Origen are looking right now. And I guess it kind of may feel like a broken record, but when there is just such a big difference, it's very difficult perhaps to articulate that what exactly Team Dignitas need to do, because when we saw Team Dignitas against their opponents last week, they actually looked fairly strong. They looked pretty sharp. There were decent stat lines on everybody, but you know, this week it just hasn't looked like they were there. And yes, they're a new roster. We need to give them some time. That is one thing, to get that AD carry and support gelling with the rest of the lineup, but they don't have the time to gel. They've got 2 more game weeks left.
Yeah, I think if anything emphasizes that point more, it's coming into this week with the roster swap up against your strongest competition, and that you don't have the practice with because you've only just done the roster swap. It was, yeah, the timing was a little off, and it showed in that game, really, honestly. But we need to head to a quick break, and we need to head back to base because we accidentally purchased Poacher's Knife. But when we return to lane, Gamers 2 and Reason Gaming square off. Don't